Hey now, ladies and gentlemen. Hey now, hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hour number 2 of the line, Talk 995, Talk995.com, Andrew McLean, Who.com, Real Talk 99.5 TV on YouTube, and the Talk 995 app. Download it. Download it. Find us on social media as well. By the way, I just got paid from Facebook just now. I made $12.42 this month. Yeah, buddy. I'm going to be eating good tonight. You know what I'm saying? That's for all that fantastic content that I put out on social media. Made $12 this month. Can't beat that. Can't beat that, baby. I made that big money. That big money. That's the only one that pays me, though. I don't think I get paid for any other social media, except for YouTube. We get paid on YouTube for those of you that are super chatting us on the Over the Line show or members of the show. By the way, if you're not a member, we haven't posted any members only content yet, but I'm going to do that very, very soon. $4.99 a month. That's cheap. That's nothing. You can go to the Over the Line YouTube channel and click the join button. There's a subscribe button, obviously, which is free. Subscribe to the channel, obviously. But if you hit the join button, $4.99 a month to be a part of the members only. It gives you members only content. Like sometimes there's a lot of members only videos already on there, which were like post shows and stuff. You can go back and watch that. There's a whole section of that. And other stuff. So get on it. Get on it. By the way, Jawbone Jam coming up May 15th. We are just mere days away. Like 3 weeks. I guess, would this Friday be 3 weeks away? 10-year anniversary of Jawbone Jam at Iron City. May 15th. That's a Friday. We're going to have some banger music. That's going to be Brother Kane, Stone Horses, and Cattle. That's going to be crazy. If you have not bought your tickets, please do so. I want you to do it before it's too late. I got to imagine that there's going to be this mad dash right before the show, like a day or two before, where people start buying their tickets. Don't end up getting left out in the cold because of that. So go ahead and go to Ticketmaster.com. If you need to wait till you get paid or whatever, that's fine. Do it at the end of the week. Ticketmaster.com. Just search Talk 99.5. There's only one Talk 99.5 event on Ticketmaster. Or you can look up Jawbone Jam. It'll pop up. You do it right there. Buy your tickets. Buy a couple tickets. Buy 4 tickets. I don't care. Buy tickets for your people. Just get in there, man. Come hang out with us. It's going to be the whole crew. And it's going to be the reason this one's going to be fun in particular is because we've had shows in the past where it's like, we've got to be backstage almost the whole time because we're doing this thing on stage. But we're not really doing much on stage for this Jawbone Jam, so it's going to be us hanging out with y'all. So it's like y'all are going to a concert with us. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's going to be a lot more interaction with you guys in the audience this time around, opposed to how it's kind of been at other events. So thank you to my buddy Danny Knowles of the Knowles Group. He's always making sure he helps us put these things on. Blakely's Bouquet, those guys are the best. Aqua Systems, all of them helping us make this happen and celebrate 10 years on the radio, baby. It just seems like yesterday 99.5 was born, but it was actually 10 years ago. I'll never forget it. I was out in Anniston. I was on a radio station in Anniston when 99.5 was born. And it was a big deal. It was a big deal. It was Murphy and Leland and Lindenberg. It was everybody except for AJ because he couldn't come to 99.5 when it was born. He had to wait 6 months. But then he finally showed up. No, so we technically count him as one of the founding members. All right, let's go to the phone lines. If you want to get in, 205-545-9950. Bradley up first. Bradley, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. How you doing?
Good, buddy.
Hey now.
Hey, now.
Hey, first time caller. Been listening for a while now. But the caller was before he mentioned something about arming the citizens of Iran.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. However, how much training have they had with firearms?
Probably
You know,
zero.
Probably zero. That's what I was thinking. They would have. Not only would we have to supply them, we'd have to train them as well.
Yeah, and
Because
you wouldn't be able to
give a
do
bunch
that.
of-
I mean, that would be impossible to
Yeah, I
go in there
know.
and train them.
We wouldn't be able to train them.
It would be an incredibly risky move. I mean, one
Yeah.
would be
Get
just
a lot
getting
of
them the
skills.
firearms in the first place, but two, what are they
Yeah.
going to do with them? I personally don't
Yeah.
think it's the best idea. You know, I get the sentiment because you essentially want to have the citizens, in particular, the citizens that we've seen over the past few months rise up and protest against the government that were, 45, whatever, the bunch of them were killed, 45,000 of them were killed. Those people would likely get out in the street and clash with military forces or whatever, but
And get
it could,
themselves killed.
yeah, you're going to end up with a lot more death and bloodshed than is necessary. But in the position that we're in now, with the government being so fractured, I think it's even, less of a good idea. I think it's even worse of an idea to arm the citizens at this point because of the current circumstances.
You know, it seems like the ones the government, the military, they're all about still supporting the regime. So, unlike it is here in this country, where if I was still in the military and the government told me to raise arms against my family, nah, it ain't happening.
Right.
Where probably over there, they wouldn't hesitate to shoot their own family members because of their beliefs.
Yeah, it's as if, even though we've killed the Ayatollah, the supreme leader, Khamenei, it's as if his spirit still lives among the IRGC and their military, and they're still, keeping with that same mindset of, it's all or nothing and fight to the death and everything else, while the rest of them are kind of like, Khamenei's gone. Even the new supreme leader, even though we haven't seen him, or we don't even know if he's bedridden or whatever it is, there are signals coming through reports that even he wants a deal, but he doesn't have the guns.
Yeah.
It's a matter of the commanders of the military. They've got the guns and they've got the leverage, so that's the whole deal.
Maybe he can ask his boyfriend.
Yeah, maybe his boyfriend can talk about it. Who knows? So we'll see. But yeah, I agree with you, Bradley. Thanks, buddy.
Well, thank you for accepting my call. You have a wonderful, wonderful day.
All right, you too, bud. Let me go to Jamie in Winfield. Jamie, what's up?
Yes, sir. I listen every day from 6:30 in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening. I just want to know, what has Mamdani in New York, what has he done from the time he's been elected that he promised he's going to do? What has he done? Anything. Tell me one thing.
Well, nothing. I mean, everything he's promised, he wasn't able to accomplish in the first place. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. Is he done anything?
No. No, he's maybe let crime rise a little more than it was before he came into office, but
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. But I'm saying, has he done anything he had promised he'd do?
well, no.
What the hell were they thinking?
I know. Yeah, it was the promises were too big and too bold. They just weren't going to be able to be accomplished. And whether he knew that or not, it's just one of those things, man.
Has he not got an answer for this? I mean, nobody's going to make him answer for this.
No.
Nobody's asking questions. Nobody's saying, "Hey, what the hell?" I mean,
No, he's
Come on.
he's the first Muslim mayor. You
Come
can't
on,
ask
man.
questions like that to the first Muslim mayor.
come on, mate.
Come on, cuz.
Come on, cuz. What the hell? What? Come on.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying. So thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to ask questions. I just wanted to know.
That's a good question. I appreciate it, Jamie. Yeah, I actually.
Like you say.
What's interesting is I saw a video this morning, and it was labeled Mamdami's New York or whatever, and it was it was a guy that was being detained by 3 NYPD officers. And so you've got 2 guys and then a girl, a lady who is, the post itself described her as an overweight lady. She's a little thick, but she wasn't like crazy overweight. And they were trying to detain this guy. And it was obvious that they weren't strong enough to have these 3 cops in Mamdani's, New York, detain this one individual in the subway, and they eventually just had to let him go. And they're like, well, that's Mamdani's, New York. And there's been some awful stories. There was one I saw yesterday about a suspect that I don't know what he did. I don't know if he shot somebody or what, but then he carjacked somebody and fled from the police and ended up hitting a 72-year-old lady during the pursuit. And it's just, it's chaos over there. And it is to be expected. Nobody's surprised by that whatsoever. All right, 205-545-9950 if you want to get in. I'll get more of your phone calls. Coming up next, you're listening to The Line, Talk 99.5. So now people are putting on the text line, hashtag free AJ. AJ's free, by the way. He's free. That's a throwback, though. Hashtag free AJ. That was a big deal back then. What was that? 6 months? 6 months long that he had to sit out because of the evil empire kept him from working. And what's crazy about that is he tried to do things the right way and he still got punished for it. Go figure, man. Go figure. 205-545-9950. Jeff says it's not the Ayatollah's spirit, it's the crazy ideology. Yeah, it's kind of one and the same. It's definitely the ideology that's causing all of this in the first place. It's a doomsday ideology. I mean, literally, with the religion itself. I mean, these guys, they view themselves as the ones to usher in the end of the world. And so they're doing what they believe. And if you think about, like, you know, human beings are flaky, especially in this country. Like, a lot of people will, you know, bend and break on what it is they believe, depending on the circumstance. Not everybody, but a lot of people do, you know, compared to how people were, you know, 30, 40 years ago. People used to have belief systems that they held, you know, very, very closely. Now, on that side of the world, that stuff's still intact. And if you look just with human nature, like, what set of beliefs is someone going to hold the closest and most likely hold throughout the entirety of their life? That is going to be their religious beliefs. No matter what that religion is, whether, you know, you're Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or whatever. Like, that's the kind of stuff you hang on to for your entire life. And whether, you know, you kind of fall in and out of it, you usually find your way back around to what you originally believed in. These people, on the other hand, they don't waver. Most of them don't waver. They are very strict to it's interesting because I go, and I know this is a weird analogy, but watching Fish Tank over the past, month or so that ended a couple weeks ago, right? There was one contestant on there, and he was a bizarre individual. His name was Bashir. And he was this redheaded white guy from, I don't know where he lives now. I think he lives in like Montana or something. I don't know. But he says he was born in Syria. And so he was Muslim. So it's this redheaded white guy that's Muslim that dresses like a cowboy with like a Japanese karate headband. And he's got like pigtails. And I know, it sounds weird. But watching that particular contestant, who is a Muslim, for 30 days in such a chaotic environment that's just full of vulgarities and crazy stuff that just, you wouldn't want to be caught watching this show at church or by your choir director. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those. But watching him in the midst of all of that chaos on that reality show, still stay true to all of his, pulling out the prayer mats and doing the prayers and the washing of the feet and, not eating pork and all this other stuff. Like, those are firmly held beliefs, and what they're taught about that religion, like, they stick to that stuff. And in the fundamentalist radical ideology that these individuals have that promote violence against the enemies and converting the rest of the world to Islam, like, they're not going to let that go. They're going to stick to it, and they're going to stick to it to the death. It's not going to you're not going to convert them is basically what's happening. So you have to essentially eliminate them. If they are in fact a threat to you, if they're a threat to us, maybe they're not a threat to the homeland, but they could very well be in the future. They certainly are a threat to our men and women stationed in the Middle East, and that's the immediate threat. For people that say, that they're not a threat to us, we shouldn't even be over there. Do you not care about our men and women in uniform that are in harm's way every single day? Where do you think, obviously, they want to destroy Israel, but where do you think those other missiles are going to be fired? They're going to be fired at our bases, and in an attempt to kill our sons and daughters who are serving this country. I'm personally not going to put up. I'm not going to be okay with that. So something's got to be done. I don't care. Not one hair on one soldier should be harmed by this radical group of people, by this radical ideology. I'm not okay with it. And as far as I'm concerned, an attack on our troops is an attack on the homeland. So we got every right to be over there doing what we're doing. Walter says the citizens are both pro and con about Iran. It's impossible to provide weapons to only those against the government. Right. It's the logistics of it would be impossible to figure out who's who. I mean, you could probably put them in a lineup and say, let's not give a gun to the lady that's, got her face covered and dressed in all black from head to toe. But or the guy wearing the turban or whatever. But you just can't do it because you can't trust anybody in that region. Just again, going back to what Trump said weeks ago about providing weapons to the Kurds. They were supposed to send weapons to protesters. Well, they got the guns and they were like, well, we kind of like these guns. I think we'll keep them. It would just be, it's not going to work. I mean, it's not even an option. But it would be nice in a perfect world if we could get those protesters firearms, trained or not, and just let them go out there and start blasting the IRGC. But again, it's not going to happen. Rick is in McCullough. What's up, Rick?
Hey, buddy. I lost my train of thought, but I everything you're saying is exactly what I'm thinking. It's not really a religious war, though. I mean, it's an ideology. It's a way to take over the world and give the power back to the elites, the people that hate Christ and hate God's people, hate good people with conscience that don't want to hurt nobody.
Yeah.
Everybody's got one.
Well, that's true.
I'm sorry. I'm done.
No, you're good. Well, Rick, I appreciate you, buddy. At the end of the day, Rick brings up the elites, and it's funny because as we see in this country and you see in other countries, there are people that gain power or are in control that make the decisions, that make the laws or whatever, and they always enrich themselves to the detriment of the citizens. The same thing happens in Iran, by the way. Those individuals that are at the tippy top, they live lavish lifestyles while the rest of the country suffers. I saw a video this morning of it was the son of an Iranian diplomat for, I don't remember what country he was in representing Iran. But this guy, he was dressed, very you would have thought he was an American streamer. And he was getting on a private jet with his hot girlfriend and everything else. And it's like, as they have all these rules for the citizens of Iran, a lot of these guys don't even follow those rules themselves. They're living lavish lifestyles while everybody else suffers. But anyway, that's another point. We got our, quick break. Back after this. Bubba says on the text line, free the Persian Tatas. There's a lot of people that feel that way, that there's a lot of good-looking women over in Iran, or there once was. We don't know what they look like now because they're all covered up. But you go back and look at those videos of Iran from the 70s, and it looks like Americana over there, Not that we're in the business or we need to be in the business of Americanizing any other country. I mean, I absolutely do not want to do that. I think they need to just be how they want to be. But the problem is, once you start messing around with us or threatening us, then we got a problem. Then we got to turn things around. And that's currently where we're at, as everybody knows. 205-545-9950, 545-9950. For those of you that are online listeners, make sure you download the Talk 99.5 app. If you have not, you can listen live. You can watch us. I think you got the YouTube feed is on the app as well, is it not? I guess I could look at that real quick. Hopefully I have the app. Well, that'll be embarrassing if I don't have the app. Oh, yeah, there it is. You pull up the app, and it says, it's got the YouTube video right there on front. I'm looking at myself. So you can actually watch the YouTube stream from the app. How about that? Isn't that fancy? So go to your app store and download Talk 99.5, the Talk 99.5 app. That's what it's called, right? Yeah, Talk 99.5. Hook it up if you hadn't done it. I got to mention this real quick, and I know and you may even say that this guy lives in my head rent-free. It's very possible, but it's just so outlandish and so... I mean, I can even use the word entertaining. I mean, this guy it's like watching a car wreck. You can't take your eyes off of it. Jermaine Brown, running for governor on the Democrat ticket. You know about his shenanigans. We've heard all about it. We've talked about it at length. I don't have to go through that. But I just saw, and this was an odd pairing, and it's why I caught my eye, the Blount County News Facebook page posted a thing about Jermaine Brown. And when I saw it, I thought to myself, wow, this is going to be interesting. Blount County is a very conservative county. It always votes red. And this is a Democrat. So what are they going to say? It's a news site, but what are they going to say about this governor? Because there's not anything newsworthy going on right now other than the fact he's running. Here's what the post says. Hear me out. Democrat candidate Jermaine J. Brown touts voter support in Alabama governor's race. A candidate in the Alabama's 2026 Democratic race is highlighting new claims of growing voter support as the May election approaches. Jermaine Brown, running on the Democratic ticket, recently released campaign graphics emphasizing what he describes as strong momentum among younger voters and first-time registrants across the state. According to the campaign, Brown is, quote, leading strong with black voters ages 18 to 35 and gaining traction among both black and white first-time voters between the ages of 18 and 55. The campaign also claims Brown is earning support from a portion of white Republican voters, pointing to what it calls expanding crossover appeal ahead of Election Day on May 19th. Brown's messaging centers on themes of, quote, authentic, conservative, and proven leadership, with the campaign emphasizing experience and a forward-looking vision for Alabama's future. With Election Day just weeks away, candidates across the state are ramping up outreach efforts as Alabama voters prepare to head to the polls. So it says Brown's messaging centers on themes of authentic, conservative, and proven leadership. And listen, I mean, he's not lying on some points because there are things such as being pro Second Amendment, very pro Second Amendment, according to him, that does not mesh well with the Democrat ticket. I understand if you're an Alabama Democrat, you're not going to be able to win office by being anti Second Amendment. Usually, like somebody like Doug Jones would just leave the issue alone or say, we need, whatever. Usually, they don't want to touch that issue in a state like this. And that goes for most red states across the board. But this guy he'll talk about it. He'll talk about pro Second Amendment. Now, I don't know anything about this graphic he posted, but I do want to check it out. Let me look and see if Jamel J. Brown, he's got so much crap on his Facebook. I'm never going to find it, but I'm looking. He's also very pro legalization of weed, which is fine with me. He says he's on board with Randall Woodfin in legalizing the marijuana, which I don't smoke, but if you don't smoke it, smoke away. He puts videos of himself on Facebook smoking, which is wild. First time I've seen a gubernatorial candidate do that. I don't see this graphic that they're claiming he posted. I'm looking through one more page. He's got multiple pages. He's got 2 different pages with his name. Then he's got one called The Jamel Brown Show. And it looks like, yeah, I'm not seeing one. But he's wild, man. Y'all need to follow his social media because it's an experience. I was just shocked that the Blount County News Facebook page would post something that was so mild. Like there was no mention of the outlandish nature of this individual, or the fact that he's a pastor with a girlfriend that's a stripper and is constantly on Facebook Live cussing people out or whatever, like that. That seems like it'd be pretty important to tell people. Like that's what individuals would care about. But it's obvious that the people in the comments don't know anything about him. So the main comment was, wait a minute, he's running as a Democrat, but he claims he's got conservative values. That doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense because it's not true. It's not. It's not. Plus, somebody needs to let him know if he's going to run as a Democrat, he's going to have to bow down to the Democrat machine. They're not just going to let him do whatever he wants to do. And I'm afraid he thinks that. Express Oil Change and Tire Engineers coming at you right now. Express Oil. As I told you, I'm going to be at Express Oil today. My boy Richard the Cop hooked me up with a coupon, baby. I'm going to be getting $26 off. But also going to be contributing to Children's of Alabama. As you know, for the month of April, for every oil change that any of the Express Oil Changes in Alabama do, they are donating $1 to Children's of Alabama. They've done this before. Many times in the past, they've raised over $1 million for Children's and are continuing to do so. So if you are coming up on an oil change and you want to make a difference, go ahead and get it done before the end of the month at Express Oil Change and be a part of the solution. Not just changing oil, but changing lives, as they say. Go to expressoil.com to find your nearest location. If you don't know where one is, that's crazy to me because they're all over the place. You can find them. But if you don't, seriously, just go to expressoil.com and find you one, the official oil change place of the line. We'll talk 99.5. If you want to get in, you know the number, 205-545-9950. Quick break. More show coming up after this. Still getting more hashtag free AJ on the text line. Y'all keep sending that in. I'll let AJ know that y'all are starting the free AJ thing again. That's pretty good. I was watching during the break video of Scott Bessent on Capitol Hill, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and he was being hammered about the gas prices and everything else. And he says, and this is his prediction, and he seems pretty confident about it. He said future prices, and this is true, future prices on oil are much lower than where we're at in the present. This is the predictions about where gas will be in the near future. He said, I think the conflict will end. I think gas prices will come back to where they were or perhaps lower. President Trump has shown that he is good at getting energy prices down and that our energy dominance agenda has lowered prices. All 100% true. If he's done it before, he can do it again. And that's going to be the case. I understand that it sucks right now, but we're not even at the prices that we were under Biden. And in that case, and I've explained this before, when it comes to high prices under Biden, there was no end game. There was no light at the end of the tunnel. It was just, this is what we got to deal with because we're switching over to green energy. That was the thing. And everybody was like, well, that's fine. Little pain for now in order to save the planet. Everybody was fine with a little pain at the time. But now all of a sudden it's a problem because we're trying to keep our troops from being blown up. So I'm with Bessent. I believe that's going to be the case. And hopefully it is sooner than later because, nobody wants to see that end up interwoven with inflation and food prices and everything else. Now, with that said, with the conclusion of the conflict with Iran and the conclusion of this ceasefire in the next 3 or 4 days, it is going to be all or nothing if the Iranians don't come to the table and cut a deal. This 3 to 5 day ceasefire extension coincides with the arrival in the region of a third aircraft carrier strike group, the USS Bush, that will be arriving in the coming days. If the IRGC thinks that they want this conflict fired back up, they are making a severe miscalculation because they're ramping up the military presence. And it's going to be twice as bad, if not worse, than it was in the initial days and the initial weeks of this operation. And it's also going to allow, I believe, the military and the intelligence community to be more precise on who and what they strike. And so if you're a leader in Iran, if you're a commander or whatever, you got to be shaking in your boots at this point. I don't think they are. I think, again, we're talking about an ideology where they're ready to lose their life for the cause, but your days are numbered. Like, it ain't going to be long until you're blown into pieces because the full force of the American military is headed your way. Justin says, does AJ have a conservatorship? I don't know, but I'll check on that. I'm going to end up starting a thing that's going to bleed over into Leland Show. Y'all do that, by the way. For those of you that are going to stick around for Leland, y'all just, I don't think they read the text line, but y'all can call in with hashtag free AJ or something. Or, post it on social media and just get it trending. Something like that. Anyway, so all that's going on. I'm sure there will be updates on that front, which we will get to as it happens. But a huge story from yesterday, and I cannot, this is going to bleed over in the next hour, but the DOJ coming out yesterday afternoon, dropping an absolute bombshell of an indictment, which is for the Southern Poverty Law Center. Everybody knows the SPLC, which is kind of it's a nationally known organization, but it's located here in Alabama. And they're known as kind of a leftist group that goes after, conservatives or whatever they view as like hate crimes, and they get involved in, civil rights cases and everything else. And, they've been, I don't know how long they've been around. They've been around for a long time, but they're troublemakers, essentially. And there has been speculation over the years that this was some sort of almost like a shell company that was set up to promote and fund the very things that they claim that they're going after. Well, it turns out, according to this indictment from the DOJ, that is exactly what was happening. 11 counts against the SPLC using their money that they raised, millions and millions and millions of dollars, to take that money and put it into the very hate groups that they claim to be fighting against, such as, the big one here, the KKK. They were taking their money that they were raising and giving it to leaders of these organizations to go out and commit hate crimes, which is what we call wire fraud and bank fraud and money laundering and things of that nature. That's essentially what the indictments are. They were indicted for secretly funneling more than $3 million in funds to members of white supremacist and extremist groups. Grand jury in the Middle District of Alabama returned an 11-count indictment against the SPLC. The case was assigned to Judge Emily Marks, which is a Trump appointee. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said the grand jury indicted the SPLC on 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. Now, hear me out on these counts and what they're alleging the SPLC was doing. They paid $1 million to a National Alliance affiliate, which is apparently maybe some kind of a white supremacist group. $300,000 to an Aryan Nations affiliate. $140,000 to the former National Alliance chairman. $19,000 to America Front president and felon. $73,000 to former KKK members, and $270,000 to Unite the Right members. Now, do y'all remember what Unite the Right was? That was Charlottesville. That was Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017. That was the Very Fine People hoax. The Southern Poverty Law Center was essentially paying these people to turn around and put on these rallies that they then used to, they would then identify them as hate groups and then tie them to the entire conservative movement, tie them to the Trump campaign and Trump supporters in general, and use that narrative to ultimately call half the country racist. That's crazy. And the list of hate groups that they identified or they labeled as hate groups grew and grew and grew. So who knows if there's more than this that was paid out in order to essentially stage hate crimes, or at least the perception of hate crimes, and promote these hate groups that they were allegedly fighting back against. This is one of the crazier stories of the year so far. I'll give you some more details on it coming up in hour number 3. It's The Line, Talk 99.5.